Hello and welcome to episode 44 of the Little Drops of Wonderful podcast. My name is Ali. I live in Kent in the UK with my husband and our 2 daughters. And this is my podcast to talk about all things knitting and crochet and crafty related, all of the good stuff. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Starry Eyes Ali. There is a group for this podcast on Ravelry called Little Drops of Wonderful, and you can find all of the show notes for everything I talk about, including timestamps for each section in case you want to jump about to different sections at any time. That is all underneath this video. That went rather well, didn't it? I did that all in one go. That doesn't normally happen. How are you? You will notice if you are a regular viewer of the podcast that I am in a different position. This could either go very well or extremely badly. When I filmed in this position previously, I have found that the light isn't always the best. I do have a better camera now, so hopefully that will solve that a little bit. But the kitchen is in such disarray and it's so sunny in there as well that I just couldn't film through there today. We're actually having our new bathroom fitted as of tomorrow. Well, the demolition starts tomorrow, so everything is coming out of the bathroom, so it's total chaos and disarray here. And I didn't actually think I was going to have time to film a podcast, but then I realised that if I didn't film a podcast today, today's Tuesday, and I'm at home tomorrow, but that's when the builders are here, so it'll be all kinds of banging and crashing. Then I'm working Thursday and Friday, and then it's the madness of the weekend, so actually I wouldn't have a chance to film if I don't film today. So today it is, so it might be a little bit disorganised, a little bit rushed and a little bit unprepared, but we're used to that really, aren't we? If you've been watching this channel for a little while, you will know that I spent all of April doing daily vlogs, feeling quite tired now. so yeah, I really enjoyed it, and thank you to everybody for your lovely messages, emails, comments, and just the notes that you sent me on Ravelry and everything. It's been really lovely to hear from you. If I haven't replied to your message, if I haven't replied to your email, if I haven't replied to you on Ravelry, or I haven't replied to any comments, it's just because I am up to my eyeballs in life and work, and just generally feeling a bit overwhelmed. I will get to it. I absolutely 100% promise you. It just might take me a little while, so sorry about that. Right, enough rambling, so we get into the podcast proper. Let's tell you what we're going to talk about today. We are going to talk about finished objects, works in progress, some incoming things, some giveaway and make-along news. I'm going to announce the winners of the giveaway from last time as well. I'm going to do a very quick little project from Yore, very brief sharing the love, and I also might do a little bit of an and finally section at the end, which is the bit where I just talk about anything I want. And this time, I think it's time to have a little bit of a podcast AGM. I want to get your feedback as the stakeholders of the podcast and ask you a few questions about what you want to see. But enough of all that, let's jump straight into it. It might look quite nice and tidy here with my nice, this is my memory keeper's shawl here, and my lovely cup of tea over here, which is still a bit too hot to drink, but actually it's total mayhem all around me. I took a bit of footage before I started filming, so if that came out all right, I'll pop it in over my face now as I'm talking, just to show you the kind of carnage that I'm working amongst. Stop talking and let's get into finished objects. I only have one finished object, and it is my Drippity Drop Socks. Oh, I should also say that I'm filming this blind today. So normally I have my phone set up in a complicated arrangement with a mirror behind. I do have a mirror, but it's very far away. So I can't actually fully see what I'm filming or if everything's in focus. So there is a very high chance that I'm going to have focus issues. And if I do, I'll just have to insert pictures, I think. But anyway, that's by the way. These are my finished Drippity Drop Socks. I finished these, when did I finish them? I finished them during April, and it got to a point where I was like, oh, I've got to finish something during the April vlogs, and I finished my Drippity Drop Socks. I could not be happier with them. They are so lovely. The yarn is called Over the Rainbow. It's by Ellie of CraftHouseMagic, and I bought myself this yarn and my sister this yarn as well, and we both made the same socks. The pattern is a Drippity Drop Drippity Drop Socks by Kay Jones, who is one half of the Bakery Bears. Is that coming up with lots of shadow because I've got the window behind me? I'm very sorry if it is. I'm hoping you can see a nice close-up of the pattern there. I knew that moving locations was going to prove problematic. I will be back in my normal location next episode, so any problems that we're having with shadows and things will disappear. Well, to the point of the normal problems that we have. So what to say about these? First time trying Kay's umbrella toe. I really like that. In fact, I'm doing that on my current pair of socks that I'm doing. I did them quite short because I prefer to wear my socks quite short because I wear skinny jeans and they're easier to get on underneath my jeans. The heel I wasn't such a fan of. It's a wedge heel. No, a square heel turn. I'm going to see if I can show you. The square heel turn. I felt that it was a bit messy. It might just be me, but yeah, I just felt that was a little bit of a messy finish on my behalf, and the heel turns that I've done before have been slightly different, but it might just be that I need to get used to it. And actually, having said that, looking at it now, they look quite nice. But yeah, otherwise, absolutely love this pattern, and I'm definitely going to be making more of Kay's patterns. It was really well written. I'm really pleased with the finished thing. I knit them on DPNs. They are my favourite thing to knit with at the moment. And yeah, what else to say? Have I written anything to help me? No, that's it. So I finished these and I had enough yarn left to start another pair of socks with the same yarn. I forgot on this pair to use the contrast mini that I actually had with this yarn. So Ellie had put in a contrast mini to do cuffs, heels, toes, and I completely forgot to use it. So that means with the yarn I had left, I think I had just under 50 grams left. I'm looking around because I can't remember which bag I put it in. Is it this one? Yes, it's this one. So this is my bag that was a gift from Naomi of Cozy Cute Knits. It's a lovely little sock size bag. And yeah, I had about, I think just under or just about 50 grams left of the balls that I'd, combined weight of the balls that I'd wound to do the previous socks. And I had an entire 20 gram mini of the mini is called Cloudy Skies. So I had an entire 20 gram mini of this beautiful colour. So because I've got that to do the cuffs and probably the heels and toes as well, I've got more than enough to do an entire other pair of socks with the same yarn, which is very exciting. However, I'd run out of DPNs because I've only got 2 sets of DPNs and they were both in use. So I had to resort to my old favourite, the way I learnt to knit socks, which is the 9-inch short circulars. So here you can see the 9-inch short circulars in action. This is sock number 1. I knit my socks concurrently, so I just knit a bit on one and a bit on the other. I've also been using the Estonian double start cast on for the last few pairs of socks that I've done, which I really like. It's going to be quite hard to show you with the shadowing. I'll just cover my eyes. I've no idea if that's coming out. Like I say, I'm filming this completely blind. But yeah, I really like the cast on. It's a really nice cast on for when you're doing a 2x2 rib. Yeah, so that's one sock and that's the other sock. This one's slightly more ahead and you can just about see how the yarn is working up on this one. I can't remember what stitch count I'm using. I think I went down a bit because my gauge tends to be a bit looser on the short circulars. So I think I've gone down to 56 or it might be 60. Whereas on the DPNs I can get away with doing a 64 stitch count and they still fit quite snugly and quite well because my gauge is tighter. Ramble. So that's my, I just realised that I've gone straight from a finished object into a work in progress. So we're just mixing it up now, and I'm probably going to mix it up on the next bit as well because my next thing is neither a work in progress nor a finished object, but somewhere in between. It's right here next to me, because it's a hoe. Well, it's an almost hoe. It's an almost half finished object. I finished the first sock last night, and all it needs is kitchenery at the toe. These are my Scrappy socks. So for my birthday, Lily, who is Nordic Stitches, hi Lily, she sent me a lovely parcel of goodies, and in there was a little Easter egg filled with 5 gram minis for my birthday, and I decided I wanted to make my first ever pair of Scrappy socks. So I did that, and then I ran out of that yarn, but she'd also sent me some other minis in the same package, and because I wanted to use all minis from Lily, so these will be my Lily Scrappy socks, I went into those minis as well. And I have made a note of all of the yarns, but I'm not going to talk about those right now until I'll talk about them when they're completely finished. What I did want to talk about was, I love knitting Scrappy socks. I basically now want to knit Scrappy everything. Because it's so addictive. I did 18 rounds of each colour, because it just worked out quite well. I did 18 rounds on the cuff, which is what I like for the cuff, and then I just decided to keep that same amount for each colour. And then when I got to the toe, I did the toe, but when I tried it on, and looking at it now, I'm not sure. I think it's slightly too short. So I did a German short row heel, and the German short row heel that I used is the one that is in the pattern by Mina Phillip of the Knitting Expat. It's called, is it Mina's Vanilla Socks? I think that's what it's called. And it's got all of her methods for just knitting a pair of vanilla socks in there. And this is the German short row heel that's in there, and I really like it, but it's slightly different to the German short row heel that I've used before. So I think perhaps I need a little bit more length in the foot to compensate for the depth in the heel. It fits really well across the instep, but I think it's slightly too short. And actually, I was wearing some German short row heels on my socks this morning. I'm going to go and get them. Right, I've got my sock that I was wearing this morning. This, I'm not going to hold it too close because these are well worn. I've been wearing these for well over a year. These are socks that I made with yarn by dye that no longer dyes, unfortunately, but they're this lovely self-striping sock. Anyway, this has got a German short row heel on, which is a little bit neater. Oh, that's quite nice. What is that? I'm going to look up what I used. One moment. This is my sock notebook. I write down everything I do in this notebook. So a bit blah, 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 but I'm a little bit behind actually, because I don't think I've actually added my notes for my Drippity Drop Socks or any of the other socks yet. So I'm going to have to do that, but that's fine because I love making notes in here. Right, let's have a look now. Ooh, interesting. I have no recollection of doing this. Okay, so these were made using the Nurturing Fibres Vanilla Socks pattern, which I have no recollection at all of doing. And the heel is an afterthought heel. Do not remember doing that at all. But they fit really well, but I now cannot really compare them. Well, I can, I suppose. Let's compare the length. Yeah, so that's Nurturing Fibres Vanilla Socks. And it's Strand Designs that was the dyer. There you go. But she no longer dyes anymore, which is sad because she was really good at it. Right, let's get my sock blockers. I'm already rambling. I promised myself I wouldn't because I haven't got time for rambling today. Why break the habit of a lifetime? Right, obviously these have been worn, so they're going to be a little bit looser. But here is my sock that I know to fit, but that I made a long time ago when my gauge was different, etc. And this is my sock now. Right, so you can see this fits very snugly on my sock blocker, and the line of the heel kind of hits just below the centre here. I would prefer it to be a bit further up like that, but I would have to quite stretch them to do that. This one, if I do that, sits quite nicely and has a little bit of room. Obviously these are stretched with wear. So I'm wondering whether I need to rip this back and put in a few more rows. I'm just not sure. I just don't want the heel to be pulling round underneath my foot when I wear them. I'd rather the heel sat properly like that. So I might put a little bit of extra length in the foot. I haven't actually shown you these properly. I've just rabbiting on about the heel. So let's show you what I've done so far. And actually, seeing as I've got the blockers, that works quite nicely. I should say that I'm using 2.25mm DPNs for these. They are living in my lovely bag. That was the sound of all of my DPNs falling on the floor. It's that kind of day today. Anyway, this is my lovely bag from Sherry, who is Ollie and Bella, and she also, for my birthday this last month, sent me a matching DPN holder, which was like tremendously exciting. And I've still got my little lavender pouch that she popped in when she gave it to me, and it still smells lovely. And my other DPN holder is my Clouds one, which is by lovely, lovely Eva, who is the very talented Coco and Flora. So let's get this other one on a DPN as this other one on a sock blocker as well to show you. So these are all just, I didn't really put them in a particular order. I just made sure that I didn't have two colours the same next to each other really. And here's how they're looking. I love them so much. I'm slowly finding my preferred method of adding in colours. I want to show you something. Right, I haven't woven in the end here, so it's not the best of examples. I want to find one where I have. At least I hope I haven't, because if I have... No, I haven't. This is the other sock. Okay, here's a good example on the other sock. So here's the second sock, which I love equally. But I don't know if you can see, between the yellow and the blue stripe, there is a little jog. And that is where I've woven in the ends on the other side, joined in the yarn and woven in the yarns on the other side. If you look at the colour up here on the leg, I did the join all on the same side, so I know all the joins are along this side. But between the yellow colour and the sort of multicoloured colour, which I actually know to be Unicorn Poop by Little French Meadow, there is no jog. And I did two different methods of joining. So where there is a jog, I just joined in the yarn and then later weaved in the ends behind. And I used a tutorial for that online. And then where there isn't a jog, I used the method of joining in yarn where you weave in the ends as you go from the Striped Mittens by Badagak pattern, which I made not last year but the year before, when was it Ellie CraftHouseMagic and Emma Eldenwood Craft ran a striped mitten along, and I won a prize in it. I won a bag, I think. Did I win a bag or did I win yarn or did I win both? I can't remember, but it was so exciting. And I made mittens, and it had in that pattern how to weave in the ends as you add in yarn as you go. And I find that works really, really well. As long as you can get that tension right so you can't feel the pull against your foot when you wear them. Although that does sort of work its way out once they're blocked and once you've worn them a while. It's a really good way of joining in the colours. Anyway, complete tangent. I absolutely love all of the yarns. I love scrappy socks. I want to make everything scrappy. Scrappy is the way forward. So that's those. I'm just going to tidy those up a little bit and try to retrieve my DPNs. This leads me on to a bit of an older, I'm just going to chuck this on the sofa over there. I'll work on that tonight. A bit of an older work in progress that I haven't talked about in a while, but seeing as seeing as my mind was on minis and making scrappy things, I realised that I hadn't in a while worked on nor talked about my crochet corner to corner moss stitch scrappy blanket, which I am currently unravelling. Hook. That's just pull out a thing so it doesn't unravel. Okay, so this is my rather long-term corner to corner scrappy blanket. Now I made a decision to do this quite some time ago because I wanted to make a scrappy blanket, but I didn't want to do the granny stripe blanket. I think it's now time to have a sip of tea, which is probably now gone from too hot looking at it to slightly lukewarm, which is a shame. My mug was a gift during April from my lovely friend Lorraine. Now many of you might recognise Lorraine Pugh. She used to be Lorraine Pugh Designs here on YouTube. She sent me a lovely birthday parcel of goodies that I talked about briefly on the vlogs, and I will talk about again in more detail, but not in this episode. Lorraine is now Consciously Crochet on Instagram, and it's really worth going to check her out. She's doing some really interesting things that no one else really is doing about working in a more sort of environmentally friendly and natural way. She's always been like that, but her new website and her new Instagram account are very, very much focused on that. So it's really worth going to check her out. So she is still there and she's fine. A lot of people ask me when I talked about it, oh, I haven't seen her in a while. Is she okay? She's fine. She's still in Cyprus. I won't say anymore because it's none of my business. But yeah, Lorraine's still fine, and I still hear from her. And hi, Lorraine. And I do hope she'll be back podcasting, but that's just me being selfish. She's got a lot on her plate. So, but this is my lovely mug that was part of my birthday gift from her, which is now holding some rather lukewarm tea because I can't stop rambling and I'm doing it again. Okay, my corner to corner scrappy blanket. I found the pattern for the corner to corner moss stitch, and it was a pattern by, oh, I can't remember. I want to say Purple something. No, every trick on the hook is the name of the blog, and anything else that you need to know I'll put in the show notes below. So that's the corner to corner crochet pattern. It's free, and then it tells you how to make a corner to corner square or a corner to corner rectangle. So what I'm going to do is do it as a rectangle. I'm going to get to the point where this bottom edge is as wide as I want it to be, and then I'll start working it as long as I want it to be, and then I'll start reducing again to make a sort of rectangular blanket. It's going to take a long time, depending on how big I want the blanket to be, but I don't mind, because seriously, this is one of my most favourite things that I have ever worked on, ever. It shows off the yarns in their crocheted form so beautifully, and it creates such a kind of drapey, it's just not stiff at all, it's just such a drapey fabric that it creates, and I love it. And I've been putting aside minis. The bag that it lives in is a bag that I got when I did a swap with Hannah of Hannah from Sheep's Alley. Hi Hannah. I'm Hannah's #1 fan, and she doesn't podcast monthly anymore, and it makes me very sad because I miss her. I love her podcast. She's such a creative and inspiring person to watch, and I just love it when there's a new episode from Hannah up. But we did a swap a couple of years ago, and as part of that she sent me this bag. It's one of her own made bags. It's got this lovely crochet doily on the back. It's made with old jeans, and it's got lots of yellow, of course, buttons on the back. Of course it's got tassels, because Hannah always has tassels on things. And inside I've been popping minis that I want to put in the blanket. Some because they have meaning, and some because I just think they're going to look good. Like, for example, I've got some mini skeins here. So I've got two mini skeins in here from Sarah, who is my Instagram friends, who's Yarn Mugs on Instagram. I've got 3 from Ellie, who is Will Too I Am on Instagram, and I want to put all of these in my look at it, in my blanket. Just show you those. It says 3 from Ellie there, but there's quite clearly not 3. Oh, there's 3 from Ellie, and I think there's 1 here from Sarah, and I think I might have taken 1 out and either used it in another project or it's just fallen out. Here it is. I've got a little pouch in here that was a gift from Sam of Betsy Makes ages ago. I can't remember, we exchanged gifts at a yarn fair, and I've got some minis in here that she gave me, and I've also been balling up minis to put in here to go into the blanket. This is kind of like the holding zone for the minis that are going into the blanket. And then what else have I got in here? Oh, it's such a tanglement. I need to sort it out. I've got a little brown bag so I did a advent swap with my friend Sarah at Christmas, and I sent her some minis, and I had the other half of those minis, and I wanted to put those in as well. They're all from a set called 12th Night. I can't remember the diet, and it's not written on here. And I kept the other half so that I could put them into my blanket, knowing that Sarah had 1 half and I had the other half. And what else have I got in here? I could go on and on. I've got one here that's a gift from Lisa Saxton, who is the Woolly Ferret, and the colourway is Cheshire Cat. So I've got that one to go in. One more. I'll just do one more. Ah, look. Okay, this is a really precious one. I'm not going to put all of this into the blanket, but I want to put at least 5 to 10 grams in. This is the leftovers of my hydrangea yarn that lovely, lovely Donna of Inner Pickle Knitting gave to me last year in a beautiful little parcel that she sent me that just was so special. And I kept the rest of this yarn because I want to have that in my lovely memory blanket as well. And I've got so many other minis that I've just been putting to one side because they all have some meaning, and they're all in here and they're getting all tangled up, so I really need to sit down and have a lovely evening just balling those up, and yeah, and do a bit more work on my Scrappy blanket, because I love this project and it's very meaningful to me and very soothing, and I miss working on it, so I've got to get back to that. I might do it this week. Hubby's out on Thursday night, and the other day, I wasn't feeling very well the other day, and I just had a really quiet day at home, did a bit of housework, and then I sat down and watched a film, and I watched Austenland. Have you seen Austenland? And I thought, oh my God, this is going to be terrible. And truly, it probably was slightly terrible, but okay, JJ Fields, that's all I'm saying. Go and watch Austenland, Mr. Nobley, my new favourite film. So I might watch that on Thursday night when hubby's out and just ball up all my minis. That sounds rude. So that's going on the sofa as well for a project that's going to be worked on this week. Okay. Right, just adjusting so that my foot doesn't go completely blue because I'm sitting on it. Oh, the hook. I'm going to have to chuck that over there now as well and hope that I don't lose it. That's on the floor. Okay, where was I? I don't even know where I am now. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the longest episode known to man. Okay, the Souvenir Shawl. Yeah, it really is. Souvenir Shawl is one of my works in progress. This was the gift from the pattern designer, and the pattern designer is Maria Samuelsson. You will not be able to see it because the printout is really, really faded. And Ellie, who was a prize winner, she won some yarn, and she made me the Souvenir Shawl with the yarn that she won. It was just brilliant, and I love the pattern so much. It's designed for single skeins of yarn that you buy as souvenirs, say on holiday, and it's perfect. So this was my Box of Singular Loveliness project. So a couple of episodes ago I started the Box of Singular Loveliness, which is where I present to you a beautiful skein of yarn from my stash in a box for no particular reason. It's just ridiculousness, and then tell you what I'm going to do with it. So this was from a couple of episodes ago. It is a Norah George yarn, which was a gift from my friend Lou. You will notice I say a lot was a gift from. That is because I am a spoiled brat who is very lucky to have very lovely people and friends who send me the most wonderful things that I don't deserve. Yeah, basically I'm just spoiled. Yeah, so this lovely yarn was a gift from my friend Lou, who is Foxy Yarn, and it is called Snowdrop, and it is by Norah George. I have just completed the first part of the shawl. It's at that stage where it's really hard to show you because it's all bunched up, and I'm now about to do the lace section, which will take me to the end. So I've got to this point, and now I just want to sit down and get myself established in my mind with the lace pattern. But I'm going to need a bit of headspace to do that, so I'm going to wait until the weekend, I think, to start on that. But I'm loving the pattern. It's really, really lovely to do. It's easy to memorise. It's really good just mindless knitting, which is creating something that actually looks like it's not mindless. Really, really beautiful. Yeah, not much else to say about that other than the fact it's living in one of my favourite bags of all time, which is this lovely bag with bicycles on, which you can probably only see in shadow because I'm sitting in a weird place today, and it's by the lovely Piggy's Market on Etsy. Right, next, I've talked about my Over the Rainbow socks. I'm not going to talk about Dan's socks because I've made no progress on them. I've talked about my Souvenir Shawl. Right, I've got a Naughty Corner project, which is my favourite jeans top that I talked about last time. I'm still determined to push on with this pattern, but I was having a real problem with gauge, in that I had gauge, but I wasn't getting the right measurements at a certain point in the pattern. And a lot of you commented to point out that even though I had stitch gauge, I might not have row gauge. And given the nature of the pattern, I think you're exactly right. I think that is the problem. So I need to go back and look at my gauge and work out how to rectify that, so that I get the correct row gauge. But I'm determined to get on with that because I'm really excited to make it and I want to wear it. What else? The Waroo shawl. Now I haven't started this, but I've got my yarns. This is my bag from Claudia of Crochet Luna from when we did a swap a while ago. And I talked about the yarns that I had picked out for my Waroo shawl, which is a crochet shawl pattern by Deanne, who is Adiday Designs. It's absolutely, Deanne is just an amazing crochet designer, and I often drool over her patterns and have not yet made any of them. And she sent me this, just so generously sent me this pattern as a gift. So I went stash diving and I pulled out these three, which I'm really, really pleased with as a combination. Ignore that tag, that's an old tag. This is not Pebble Beach Yarns, this is now Iron Bridge Yarn Studio. So, and this one here in the middle is Bird Street UK, Mr. B Yarns. That's called But He's Her Lobster, I think. Yeah, But He's Her Lobster, which was a gift again from Lou. And this final beautiful one is called Lobster Lagoon, and that is by Becky of Back to Blighty. And then I had been considering this as a dramatic contrast colour, which is a yarn I dyed myself. And I do really like it, but the jury is still out on that. So a lot of people suggested a nice dark teal would be good. So I dyed one, which took a little while to work out, but I did manage it. So here is the colour combo with the dark teal, where the dark teal would form the final border. It's like a lacy type border. And here it is with the jury's out self-dyed one. So it's quite a dramatic contrast on that one, which I really, really like. And this is a more complementary contrast. So there you go. No decisions made yet, but fortunately I'll have plenty of time because the border comes last. So I'll have plenty of time to make a decision. But I'm really excited to get those wound up. So I think what I might do Thursday night then, me, Austin Land, JJ Fields, and my yarn winder. I'm just going to have a yarn winding party. A yarn winding Austin, a wine yarning Jane Austen party. Okay. Okay, we haven't even got out of works in progress yet, so let's move on. Incoming, like I said, I'm not going to talk about all the wonderful gifts and things that I got during April. I did talk about them a lot. Well, not a lot, but I talked about them on the vlogs, and I am going to talk about them in future as I use them, and I am going to talk about a few of the gifts I got through. But for now, I'm just spending time with the boxes. I've talked about this before. I like to just keep reopening the boxes and just, I spend a lot of time appreciating the things that I get given. and I'm still in that stage, so I'm not going to talk about them just yet, but I do want to talk about a couple of things I got. First of all, if I can find my way through all this mess. Okay, I got the Little French Meadow Mini Skein Club for May. It was called Flowers and Grasses, so look away now if you haven't received yours yet. It is another absolute corker of a combination. So it's called Flowers and Grasses. There it is. How beautiful are they? Alison and Yore are so clever. I treat myself to this, or my husband does, every 3 months, this mini skein club, and I'm never disappointed, and I'm building up a real collection of Little French Meadow minis, and one day I will make Little French Meadow mini skein socks, Little French Meadow mini skein jumpers, Little French Meadow mini skein hats, everything. And you always get a little stitch marker, and because it's Flowers and Grasses for May, it's a little tulip. So pretty. And of course there were the usual sweets, which have already gone. So that's the May Mini Skein Club. I also had a little thing from Maggie, who is Beautiful Things. Now I met Maggie at festival, the last festival, and I bought a couple of her things. I bought some little handmade fairies actually. This is her details. She is Beautiful Things, and she said, can I send you some of my new markers, project markers? I'll explain what that means in a minute, to have a look at and just tell me what you think. So I said yes. I'm just going to see if I can fit these onto the pen. Yes, I can. So these are specifically designed for crocheters, and they are to solve the problem, which I have a lot. I'm actually going to put this on my Scrappy blanket. They've each got, they are very cute. They're either little sheep or little hanks of yarn, which I am now going to attempt to show you. I don't know if they're going to come out terribly well. If they're not coming out terribly well, I'll take a lovely picture to put on the screen as I'm talking. But each of them have got little numbers on, which correspond to the millimetre size of hooks. So I've got a 4, a 3.5, a 2.5, a 3 and a 4.5. So for example, my Scrappy blanket over there uses a 3.5 millimetre hook. So I would use this little guy and I would pop him on my project. That means I can free up my hook to use on other whips, which I do frequently do. And when I come back to work on my project, I know what size hook I was using. Now I have done this so many times where I cannot remember what hook I was using, and I've gone to take the hook out of that project for another project, and then when I go back to work on the previous project, I can't remember what hook I was using. So these are a brilliant idea, and this little person, this little 3.5 millimetre one, is going straight on my Scrappy blanket, because then if I forget that I dropped that hook on the floor and I pick it up and I think, what project bag did this fall out of, I will know when I return to it. So she sent me all of these. I've also got my long-term Advent triangular shawl blanket that I'm making, and I add to that every year, but I use the hook every year, and this year I had to go to Ravelry to check what hook I was using from last time. Or was it I went to Ravelry, or I trawled through Instagram to look for pictures of what hook I was using, which is ridiculous. And now I don't have to do that because I can put one of these little things on my project. So they're brilliant, and they're available from Beautiful Things. She's on, oh, she's got her own website, and she's also on Facebook as Booze, oh no, hang on. So she's on Instagram as Booze Beautiful Things, and her website is beautifulthings.co.uk. It's just easier if I show you the thing. There you go. Okay, so thank you so much for those, Maggie. I think they're absolutely brilliant. They're really well made, and they're going to look really cute on my project. And what a good idea. I'm going to put that there now so I can put them directly into use. The next thing I wanted to show you is something I bought when we went into London during April. As you know, I'm rather obsessed with the Moomins, and we went to the Moomin shop, and I couldn't resist adding to my enamel pin collection with my little Moomin mama. So I got myself a little pin to go on my, either one of my bags or on my CraftHouseMagic pin pennant, which hangs very proudly in the bedroom upstairs. I just love it so much. So I think she might go on there or on one of my project bags, my little Moomin Mama. Okay, one last thing to show you. This is one of the incoming things I got during April. Ugh. And I did talk about this on one of the vlogs, but I wanted to talk about it again. Oh, I just found something else that I got. This was a little gift from my friend Yola, who is actually one half of Little French Meadow. She sent me a little extra thing because it was my birthday. It's also an enamel pin, and I can't open it. Ah, work fingers. It's also an enamel pin, and she sent me, oh, how am I going to show you this and not show you my terrible fingernails? Oh, ignore my fingernails. Look, it's a little lobster. Cover my eyes so you can't see. It's a little lobster. It's so cute. I've no idea if that was coming out, but she sent me a little lobster enamel pin. So thrilled with that. So that's definitely going on one of my project bags. I've got a lobster project bag actually, so I'm going to put it on that. Thank you, Yola. But the rest of this stuff, the sweets are not for me, boo hiss, they're for the girls. So I'm going to put those to one side over here to give to the girls. And then the rest of the things in here are from lovely Andy and Angela, who contacted me. They are Andy, they're a married couple, and Andy got involved in dyeing yarn as his way of contributing to Angela's lifelong hobby of knitting. But he was soon dyeing more than she could knit, so they started to sell it. But they have this kind of ethos around their business in that they want to promote crafting as a form of therapy, particularly for supporting and improving your mental health. I'm describing this really badly. Angela suffers from, and I'm going to say this wrong, and I've said it before right, and now I'm annoyed that I didn't write this down. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It is a connective tissue disorder, which strangely enough, one of my podcast viewers left a comment to say, oh my goodness, I suffer from that same syndrome. And I've seen her raising some awareness of it on Instagram, but also one of the contestants in RuPaul's Drag Race, which I've also spoken about, that hubby and I have been sort of binge watching, also suffers from this condition. And so part of what they do is raising awareness around that as well, which is really great and really important, and I can certainly get behind that. They have sent me some yarn to use as prizes, and they've sent me so much that I've got 5 little parcels here. Now they did say that I could keep some of this, but I feel bad doing that. So I think what I'm going to do is keep one of the little parcels, Andy and Angela. I hope that's okay, because each of these little parcels has got 2 mini skeins, and the yellow one is called, I'm going to forget now. I'll tell you what, let me show you the big ones to give you a better idea. So one of these is going to be used as a prize for the Dodgy bag mail, which I'll talk about shortly. So this is Daffodil, which is just amazing. Look at the colours on that. That's Daffodil. And that is their logo. Oh, that is their logo. And on it is a little tag which has got 2 little stitch markers. And there is also 2 things of tea in here, some pucker tea, and there's a little hand sewn lavender pouch as well. So that's Daffodil. And they've also sent me, it's also beautifully done with the little extras and everything. I can just tell if you order something from their shop. Oh, just unravelled it, sorry. Bear with me whilst I try and make it look as beautiful as it was. Right. I'm going to have to redo that. You can just tell if you order something from their shop that you're going to be really pleased with it. So there's some more tea, another little pouch, and this one is called Vibrant Iris. I mean, yeah, what lovely, beautiful. And again, there's these beautiful little stitch markers. Look at the butterfly one. I really hope this is all coming out because I can't see a thing. Yeah, so that's Vibrant Iris, and each of these little parcels, which I'm going to wrap up again nicely rather than just shoving it in, there is a mini of each. So you've got Daffodil and Vibrant Iris, which you've now seen in their full 100-gram glories, and they've also popped in a little compliment slip. Hope this yarn brightens your day, it says. There's 2 little things of tea. There's a little lavender pouch, and there's a little tag with 2 little stitch markers on as well. And on this particular one, which I've pulled out, it is a toadstool and a spinning wheel. So that's in each of those little pouches. So I'll keep one of those little pouches because then I've got 2 of the minis to add into my scrappy blanket and to other projects as well, and I think that will be really special for me, and it then will allow me to still have 4 of the packages and 2 full skeins to use as prizes, which I would really like to do, to sort of share that with you. I'm going to put one away to use for either the next Cozy Up for Winter Mail, which will be around sort of October, November time, or for the Strictly Sock Along 2019. Are we allowed to get excited about that yet, even though it's not until sort of September? Probably. And one I'm going to use as a prize for the Dodgy bag now. And then these little extra pouches I will use, you know, as prizes for in those mails and cows and giveaways and things as well. So thank you so much to Andy and Angela. I wish you all the best of success with your business. I think what you're doing is lovely, and thank you so much for reaching out and offering some yarn as prizes for the podcast. Right, let's talk about giveaway and mail news before we move on to the rest of the bits, like Project from Yore and Sharing the Love on all those bits towards the end. I just wanted to talk about the Dodgy bag make-along. So last year, Claudia, who is Crochet Luna, and I ran the first Dodgy bag make-along. It was a month-long make-along to encourage people to get the sewing machines out and make a bag. As you know, I make dodgy bags. Do I have any? Yeah, here's one. Ooh, this is one of my very dodgy bags. All the other bags around me are non-dodgy because they're made by other people, and they are beautiful. But this is one of my dodgy bags. This is one that is just a little sock pouch. I call them dodgy bags because I don't use a pattern, I make it up, and there's usually multiple errors with them, but I make them anyway. I don't make them to sell, I only make them as gifts or as disappointing prizes. And I've just always called them dodgy bags, and people were sort of picking up on calling these things dodgy bags. And then last year Claudia approached me and said, do you want to co-host a dodgy bag make-along? And of course I did. And also last year, as you know, I had a very tough year last year, and I was in the process of losing my father, and it was a lovely distraction to this time last year when that was happening. And Claudia had some little pin badges made. I don't have one to hand at the moment, but they were the Dodgy Bag Club pins, and she sent me a bunch of them so that I could give them away and so on. And she sold some in her Etsy shop, and she donated the profits from the sale of those in their entirety to the Parkinson's UK charity, which was a charity that meant a lot to my dad. And I cannot even begin to describe how lovely and generous Claudia is for doing that. It was such a lovely thing to do. We're hoping to maybe have some more of those button badges available, and we're each going to sell them. I'll sell some in my Etsy shop, and Claudia will sell some in hers. We're still getting our act together a little bit, even though the mail is underway. We're still getting our act together, but there will be a charity element to that as well. So whatever we make from the sale of those pins will go to the charities of which we will let you know. Like I say, we're still ironing out all the details whilst the mail is going on. It's been a busy couple of months. But what you need to know is that it's running now from the 1st of May until the 1st of June. And the object is make a bag. It can be any kind of bag. It can be a project bag, a shopping bag, a little pouch to hold your glasses. anything at all. As long as it's a bag and you're giving it a go, you'll be eligible to win a prize. If you can put your finished objects in the finished object thread, which is in my Ravelry group, and the chatter thread is in Claudia's Ravelry group. We may draw a winner from Instagram as well, but we haven't decided yet. But the hashtag for the mail is Dodgy Bag Mail 19. Yeah, Dodgy Bag Mail 19. I'm putting it on the screen. And if you use that hashtag, we'll probably maybe draw a winner from the hashtag at the end as well. So it's really worth using the hashtag. There's loads of finished objects in the group, in that thread already. It's really, really lovely to see. I haven't made one yet, but I do have, I'm gonna go and get my pattern. Hold on, I've got it. So what I want to do for the Dodgy Bag month is I want to finish my Copenhagen bag, which I've spoken about before, but I don't have with me. I want to finish it. All I need to do is line it and put the handles on. I want to make a little holder for my portable battery for my iPhone, because the one it came with is broken. And I want to make this bag, and this was an old pattern from an old magazine that Lorraine had, and when she sent me a load of stuff, she sent me the pattern for this. It's the Vintage Vibes sort of handbag, which it was in an old issue of Molly Makes, and I think it's a pattern by oh hang on, I'm gonna get this wrong, aren't I? Little Tea Wagon. And Lorraine also sent me a stack of fabric, and from that fabric I think I'm going to be able to make this bag. So this is the stack of fabric that she sent me. There's so many in there, and this is the yarn that I want to use. This is a really special one because it's hydrangeas. So I want to use this one, and I want to mix it with this, my favourite colour. I want to mix it with this one. So I'm hoping with a bit of clever cutting and planning, I'll be able to make that bag with these two fabrics. So watch this space. Like I say, I am in a huge hole of overwhelm at the moment. So let's just, fingers crossed, I can even make one. Right, okay, so that's the Dodgy Bag now. Prizes. So one of the prizes will be, obviously Claudia will be getting a prize together as well. So one of my prizes is going to be the yarn by Attic Spin Dye, but I've also got a pattern prize, which is was donated to us by Suzanne, who is Green Lambkin Yarn, and she has a new sock pattern out. It's called the Wingardium Leviosa pattern. That is right, isn't it? Wingardium Leviosa. I don't know my Harry Potter spells very well. Wingardium Leviosa, and it's like a vertical lace pattern design. They're really beautiful, and I'll have a picture on the screen somewhere here. Yes, so really beautiful pattern. So thank you so much, Suzanne, for donating that as a prize as well. Right, I've also got a couple of new giveaways to talk about, but first I'm going to draw the winners of the last 3 giveaways, which were amazing last time. So first of all, I've got a very scrappy bit of paper here. So the first pattern prize that we had last time from Jen Sheelan was the High Tea with Jam and Crumpet Shawl, which is a beautiful pattern. And we had 106 entries for that. And I closed all of the threads for the giveaways this morning, and I asked Alexa to pick random numbers. So we had 106 entries for the High Tea with Jam and Crumpet Shawl by Jen Sheelan. And Alexa pulled out number 70. So the winner of that is Joy Daigle 13. So congratulations, Joy, you have won that pattern. I will send Jen a message and ask her to send that directly to you. So well done, and thanks for answering the prompt, which was tea or coffee, and Joy said coffee and cream. The next amazing pattern prize was the Ziggy Interrupted Wrap or Shawl pattern by Sandra of Cherry Heart. This is an amazing pattern. I am going to make this. In fact, I started to look out yarn to make it last night, but it was a bit too dark and I wanted to do it in daylight. It's such a beautiful pattern, and I'm blown away that Sandra gave us a copy of it as a prize. There are 100 entries for that. It's a crochet pattern, by the way, I should say. And the Alexa pulled out number 93, who is a Wheezy C, who is Claire. So congratulations, Claire, you have won the Ziggy Interrupted pattern. I will ask Sandra to send that to you on Ravelry. And also the last one was the Zumigurumi book, which is here. This is it here. I also did another giveaway, because I've got 2 copies of this to give away, on Instagram. So I've got, the winner of that has already been drawn, and the winner of this, and the prompt was what is your spirit animal? And the winner, so there were 124 entries, the winning number was 56. That is Sarah Jo Makes, and her spirit animal is a cat. So congratulations, Sarah. You are the winner of the Zumigurumi book. And I should also say that Sandra and Jen, the pattern designers, both gave me a copy of those patterns for me as well. So thank you so much to them for their generosity in donating not only a copy for me, but as a prize as well. And also the producer of the book, when they sent me the 2 giveaway books, they sent me a copy as well. So as I've previously stated, I am a gigantic spoiled brat. Thank you very much to everyone for donating those wonderful prizes to the podcast, and congratulations to all the winners. I am really rushing now. So we announced some new giveaways. Yes, let's. Oh, if you thought those were exciting, it gets even more exciting. So Jen, who just seems to be a pattern producing machine, has got 2 new patterns out, and they are sock patterns, and she's given me a copy for me of each one, and she's also given a copy of each one as a giveaway prize as well. They are the Dragon Toes socks, which are on the screen now, and also the Hint of Sophistication socks, also now on the screen. So I'm going to open an individual thread for each of those, so you can hop along to the Ravelry group, and all of the giveaway threads are linked underneath here. So I always put a link to those in, so all you have to do is click and hop on over. I do have, sorry, disappearing there, I do have a copy of the Hint of Sophistication socks here. It's a sort of, can you see it? I don't know. It's a really, really nice sort of cabley, lacy design down the front. And as soon as I saw it, I knew exactly what yarn I was going to use. So I just wanted to show you quickly. I showed you my little Dodgy bag earlier. When I got this yarn, I knew that I wanted to do some kind of cabley sock pattern with it. This was dyed specifically for me by the aforementioned lovely Hannah of the Hannah from Sheep's Alley podcast. And it's called, this was when we did a swap, it's called Yellow Is There Really? Special Colourway for Annie. So I've got my own sock yarn that Hannah dyed for me. It's actually a sock set. The colour is beautiful, and this is the mini that goes with it as the contrast, and I mean you can see how perfect they are. And this is the yarn. I saw that pattern, I was like, that is the pattern for that yarn. So I'm definitely going to make these. It is what is it, 75% wool, 25% polyamide sock yarn. And I think it's just going to be amazing as Hint of Sophistication socks. Another reason I want to make the Hint of Sophistication socks. We are going off on a tangent, prepare yourselves. Hint of Sophistication, that expression reminds me of one of my favourite films of all time. French Kiss with Kevin Kline and Meg Ryan. And in it, there is a scene where they've gone to the male character's sort of family vineyard, and and Meg Ryan's character is tasting wine, and she describes the wine as, I can't remember exactly how she describes it, but she describes it as something, something, something with a hint of sophistication, lacking in pretension, and with a hint of sophistication. And it just really reminds me of that line in that film, which I love so much. So I'm going to have to watch that film whilst I make the Hint of Sophistication socks. I love that film. It is the most quotable film of all time. And I'm pretty sure I'm probably repeating myself because I'm sure I've already talked about it. But there's this whole bit where he's talking about someone called Bob. And she's going, Bob? And he's going, oui, Bob. as in Bob Dylan, and she goes, oh, Bob, Bob. I'm talking to myself as though I am Kevin Kline and Meg Ryan. It's a fantastic film, you have to go and watch it. Where were we? Yes, so giveaway. There'll be 2 threads for that in the Ravelry group, so hop on over to that. But that is not all. I have got another amazing giveaway for you as well. And this time it is courtesy of Lily, who is, of course, Nordic Stitches. Now, Lily's had a bit of a rough time with her podcast channel, I believe. Something went awry. I think it was hacked. She has lost loads of her videos. So she's going to be restarting her channel at the beginning of July, but in the meantime she is still working as a knitting pattern designer, which is what she does, and she has got this year's Summer Shorties sock collection, which has just been released. This is a collaboration this year. She is running this, she's done the patterns, and Helen of Giddy Knits has done complimentary yarn to go with it, and I believe if you buy the yarn you get 15% off the pattern collection. If you buy the pattern collection you get 15% off the yarn. The yarn has got a wildflower theme. It is utterly gorgeous. I've been across to the shop, and when I last checked with Helen she said that there were plenty of 100-gram skeins of those yarns, and she's also doing 5 times 50-gram sets, so you get all of the colours. And you get so you get 5 colours, 50 grams of each, and there you can make each of the 5 pairs of socks that's in the collection. So in case I didn't say that at the beginning, there were 5 socks in the shorty collection. Lily did this last year as well, and I made a couple of pairs of the shorty socks, and they were beautiful patterns. I absolutely love them, and I've actually got some yarn in a bag ready to make another pair from last year's collection as well, so I can't keep up. Lily has offered up the entire collection as a prize, which is amazing. That's whole 5 patterns, the entire collection, and the winner will also automatically then get 15% off of any of Helen's complimentary yarns for that collection. I really hope I'm describing that properly, but honestly it's lovely. Lily's given me some pictures that I can use, so hopefully as I've been talking I've been putting them up somewhere on the screen successfully. And in order to win that, oh, they're having a cow as well, so that is running currently, and it's on now. The cow is on now, and it's running until the end of July, so you've got plenty of time to make your summer shorties, and who knows, maybe even I, of the many works in progress, might start some. I'm feeling like I need to start pushing myself a bit. I'm all socks and shawls at the moment, and I really want to knit a garment, and I really want to push myself in the knitting stakes and the crochet stakes. And I think with the Yore shawl, which is something I've not like nothing I've made crochet wise before, and with the Ziggy Interrupted, which is a big project, I think I'll be pushing myself a little bit with my crochet. Also with my favourite jeans top as well, because obviously I'm going to have to work on that to get it right and to get it finished and to get a good fit. But I really want to start pushing myself with my knitting now. I need to decide what I want, what stage I want to enter next, what I want to try, and where I want to go with my knitting to just challenge myself a bit. Why was I talking about that? That was random. Anyway, plenty of time. The cow runs until the end of July, and in order to win a copy of that amazing collection and the discount of the yarn, go to my Ravelry group. The link to the thread will be below, and I will think of a decent prompt. And if you go along there and answer that, you'll be in with a chance to win. I will draw a winner on the next podcast, which will be as soon as my bathroom's done and the builders have gone. So within the next 3 to 4 weeks. So hopefully that will be before the middle of June. So you'll still have plenty of time to get the pattern and enter the cow if you want to. Okay, have I covered everything and probably talked for hours? Right, we've got just about enough time to do the last couple of bits. First of all, I've got a project from Yore, very briefly. I found this little pouch that I hand sewed, and I thought it was a good one to share, given that we're in Dodgy Bag Mail month. And this, if you can see, it's got a little patchwork line of different fabrics, and then it is fully lined. And there are no seams on the inside. What there is on the inside, and this is going to be really hard to show you, is a whole bunch of lavender. And this lavender I picked with my dad in France about 10 years ago. It still smells of lavender, and it's just always been in this pouch because I made this pouch by hand. It's not machine sewn, it is a hand sewn pouch, and I made it in France, in Uzès, in a house that we used to go to there with my dad, when I think Lilia was maybe 2 or 3 years old, and I made it that summer when we were there for a week's holiday. And it was using a tutorial by a Japanese blogger at the time who was called Meruru, and I'm not sure if she still blogs or not. Last time I checked, which wasn't that long ago, she did, so I'm going to put the link underneath this video. But she did everything hand sewn, and she had such a beautiful way of doing things, and there was a tutorial for how to make this hand sewn pouch. And I remember I did stumble a bit and get a bit stuck, and it was a bit complicated. I think I stabbed myself several times with pins to get it right, but yeah, I made 2 of them actually. I've got this one and I've got another little blue one, and I often think I'd like to make some more because I just really like them. They're just so simple but effective. So that's my little project from Yore. The other thing, I'm not going to do a proper sharing the love because I'm just not prepared, and I like to be properly prepared for sharing the love. But I did want to quickly share with you the people who are doing, whose vlogs I've been watching for May, and that is Vicky of the Ice Flower Crochet podcast. She's just doing a 10-day vlog series during Golden Week. Vicky is from the UK, but she lives in Japan, and she's married to someone from Japan, and she's had her children there, and she's been there for a long time. And so she's vlogging for the 10 days of Golden Week, which I believe is the week where it's a week-long... It's a 10-day holiday when the emperors change. I think that's right. And everyone is off work. It's like a really long bank holiday. And she's vlogging throughout that. And it's just really interesting to get a little glimpse of this different country. And yeah, it's fascinating. And her garden is beautiful. And she does amazing crochet as well. And the other people who are vlogging this month are, throughout the whole month, is Sherry of Ollie and Bella. I love Sherry's vlogs. She reminds me so much of me in that she just constantly running around dropping little girls off at clubs or boys off at clubs. And she's got 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. Yeah, and I just love watching Sherry's vlogs. She's got a really lovely way about her, and she's so creative, and she's always doing something where I think, oh, I want to do that too. So yeah, so she's Ollie and Bella, and yes, she's doing daily vlogs in May. And the other person doing daily vlogs in May is Helen, who we've already mentioned. That is Helen of Giddy Knits. She's got 2 little boys, and she lives up in, I think she lives in Scotland. I'm a little bit behind on her vlogs now, but I'm hoping to catch up later today as I'm doing a bit of housework. So yeah, definitely go and check those out if you're missing vlogs and you want some more. Okay, and finally, so this is just a very, very quick thing at the end where I can talk about anything I like. And what I wanted to say this time was, where would you, the stakeholders of this podcast, like to see the podcast going? Not where you want to see it going, because you might say just away. Don't say away, please. What I mean is, what would you like to see from me? Obviously within reason. This is my hobby. So I, apart from the fact that I've started to sell some pins, which I'm hoping to kind of grow, but I need to sort of get my business head on for that and sort of access all that stuff I learnt at university, which I seem to have long forgotten. So I'm starting to sell pins. So I've got a bit of merch. So that's going to start to maybe bring in a bit of money, although at the moment I'm just reinvesting the money I'm making, so it's not. So this is my hobby, and this is something I do, but I try not to take it too seriously, but I do take a lot of care about it, and I want to make sure that what I'm doing is up your alley and that you're seeing what you want to, oh, that was a bit of a pun, wasn't it? You know what I mean. Stop talking. Okay, so what I mean is, what would you like to see from this podcast? Are there any other things that you would like to see from me? Are there any bits that you particularly enjoy that you would like to see more of? Is there anything I can be clearer about? I'm just wondering if there's anything additional or anything expanded that you would like to see from the podcast going forward, so that I know that when I'm putting it together and investing the time and the energy around everything that goes into producing the podcast, because although I don't say this very often, but it is a lot of work and it's a lot of preparation, and it is a lot of after prep. There's a lot of stuff to do afterwards as well. I'm going to have to tidy up this mess for a start. And there's a lot of editing that will happen over the next couple of days when I don't have very much time, and I want to make sure that what I'm doing is of value to you, because I want it to feel worthwhile. I'm not sure if any of that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'll just cut it out. So if you're watching it, I've decided, what the hell. Anyway, I'm going to finish up now. I feel like I have raced through that at the same time as talking for hours on end. So I hope it's not too long. I hope you enjoyed it. It's lovely to see you again. I'll be back once the builders have exited and I can once again sit in my kitchen undisturbed and talk to my phone without anyone going, what are you doing? Crazy woman. Have a lovely May. Don't forget to enter all the giveaways. Don't forget to make some bags for the Dodgy Bag Mal. I will see you again in a few weeks' time. Until then, happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy crafting. See you soon. Bye.